What's up, guys? War History Geek here, and welcome back to yet again another new acquisitions video. Today we're going to be going over the newest purchases I've made from February through April of 2022, and it's actually going to be a pretty large one today. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first collection we're starting with is a collection I bought back in the beginning of February from a friend of mine. Really big collector, has been trying to liquidate some of his items, so I decided to pick up a number of them. He gave a pretty fair deal, so I felt pretty confident in buying this collection. So let's see here. Let's start out with this first. So here we have a Soviet GP5 gas mask. If I remember correctly, this is a medium-sized one. And as you can see, it's just pretty standard. I did put it on this mannequin head, so this head was not included in the deal. However, I think I paid like $5 for it, $10 for it, so I thought it was a pretty reasonable price. I don't have a filter for it at the moment, however, I am looking to get one off of eBay or something. Just something cheap so I can get a filter on it for display purposes. But other than that, it's a pretty interesting mask. I've been wanting one of these for a while now. You know, it's one of those stereotypical military surplus masks that every collector has, so I was pretty happy to get this into my collection. Moving on from there, we got a couple of smaller items here. Here's a World War II U.S. Army hatchet. Now, it's not the most interesting thing, and unfortunately the head is loose on the handles, so I can't really use it as an actual tool. You can also see there's a chip missing out of the head there. But I only paid like $5 or $10 for it. And I wanted to get this because I had every other issued tool to the frontline soldiers. I have multiple E-tools. I have the Pickmatics, but I wanted a hatchet. So I finally have a hatchet. Now, the only other tool that I guess you could argue would be a tool that they would have carried was the collapsible saw, similar to what they used in World War I. And I just haven't found the right one for the right price. However, this is one of those standard ones that I needed for the collection, so I'm really happy to add this to the collection. Moving along here, we have a couple of World War II German ammo pouches here for the Kar 98K. And these two are actually really interesting because they're the later war transition between using the stitched method and the riveted method. And there's two different types of leather here. This is the pigskin leather, and then you have the normal leather here. And this one's still pretty soft. As you can see, it's stitched on the front. And if you come along to the back here, this one was made by, here, let's zoom in here. That's the maker on this one, Fenbach. Unfortunately, you can see the stitch was put on the last two digits of the year there. So unfortunately, I can't really make out exactly when it was made. I think it's 1944. However, I don't know for sure. So unfortunately, I won't know the year on this one for certain. However, I'm just really happy to add this to the collection. I already had one somewhat similar to this. Mine's a completely later war one where it's completely riveted. However, you have to keep in mind as well that fully stitched ones were still being made by the end of the war as well. It just kind of depended on the maker. And then coming along over here to this one, this one's a lot harder, a lot crispier, I guess you could say. And the front is still stitched here. However, once you come along to the back, you see it's the completely later war version where it doesn't come down to the bottom anymore. It's completely riveted. You have the later war ring on the back. And overall, it's lower quality and expedited design. So, very happy to add to these add these to the collection. I think I paid $30 a piece, which, considering the condition, I think is pretty good. A lot of times you start to see these ammo pouches go for $50 on average, even upwards from that. So, very happy with the price that I got on these. Happy to add these to the collection. Moving along here, we got a helmet. We got a Polish WZ-75, I believe. If I'm wrong on that, go ahead and correct me. And as you can see, it's still a little muddy. I still have to clean it up. But you can see it's definitely used. There's mud on the inside, likely from some kind of use or camouflage, who knows. But you can see this later design for the the liner system here, where you still have that leather strap and the leather suspension system here, but then you have a lot of this nylon in here, which came to be very popular starting in about the 1970s. So I'm really happy to add this to the collection. Again, it's just another stereotypical military surplus helmet, but I didn't have an example for my collection yet. I think I only paid like $20 for this, so fair price, coming from a friend. I mean, you can't go wrong. So another nice helmet to add to the collection. And then I think my two favorite items from that small collection I bought were these East German caps. And here you can see they're not officers, they're just standard issued caps. This one's infantry, and then this one is Air Force. And yeah, they're just your standard East German caps. I paid $10 a piece for these, which I thought was very fair. I've been wanting to try and expand my collection out into more of the communist bloc era, Cold War era stuff. It's starting to get very popular in the collectors community, and it's going to continue to only go up in value, so it doesn't hurt to start getting into it now when it's still, in some cases, relatively affordable. And if you take a look at the inside here you can see NVA, maker marks, size 56, and then this one right here that has the really interesting looking Air Force emblem, and then here you can see 56 NVA, again, maker marks there. So I think those were probably my favorite pieces, but then again, you know, those German pouches were great as well. But anyway, let's move on to the next collection here. So the next collection I picked up was at a small antique store. A relatively cheap little collection of items here, but I mean, for the prices, you couldn't go wrong. So here we have a collection of, I'm assuming, World War II era garrison caps for the U.S. Army. Let's see here. Here you can see this one has a service number, size there. Again, not terribly interesting, but for, I think they were $2 a piece. I was very satisfied with that price. You can see the inside on that one. And unfortunately, I don't know what the piping stands for on each of these off the top of my head. This one is black and gold, and then this one is just gold. Very interesting here. I have a really large number of these now, but I mean, if you see them for the right price, it never hurts to pick them up. So those were the 4 items I got from one booth there, and then actually in the same booth, they had a little stand of like $1 items or whatever, and then like a couple boxes of $5 items, $10 items, etc. And I saw this in there, and I wasn't exactly sure what it was. But it turns out that this is a incomplete U.S. Army Air Corps map reader, and I forget the exact terminology for what it is. I'm sure I'll have it up here in a picture of what it's supposed to look like complete. But here you can see it says U.S. Army, Abrams Instrument Corps, Lansing, Michigan, patented. Here on the back you can see it's pretty simple looking. And how this used to be is it used to have legs right in here. You can see where the holes used to be. And you would set it on top of a map, and you would be able to look down through it and magnify the map. And here you can see it has different distancing there to help you better scale the map. So very interesting piece. I paid $10 for it, which I thought was fair for it being just this one incomplete part. Complete sets go for like $40 to $50. So for $10... it's a neat little shelf piece, even though it isn't even complete. Maybe, hopefully, I'll be able to find the missing parts, but regardless, great piece. Always great to add World War II era items to the collection. All right, so moving along here, we're going to have a couple of single items, which I think are probably my favorite pieces from this entire haul video. Let's see here. So starting here, we have a World War I M1917 ammo box. And this one is actually restored. I found it on Facebook Marketplace for like $30. And I was super satisfied with that price. These in some cases go for upwards of $75 to $100. And I mean, this one is restored, but it's not like one of those cheap restoration jobs. This was restored the right way with historical accuracy, and you could tell that they put a lot of time and effort into this. So as you can see, it has the wood varnish finish, which was period correct. Some of them were painted green. However, this one Some of them were just the wood varnish as well, so this isn't incorrect. As you turn it around here, you can see some of the hardware here. And you can see this does have evidence of being painted green at one point. Let's see if I can zoom in here. As you can see, there's evidence of green paint here. So it's very possible that this box was originally painted green, but then was stripped to be restored. Still, it's still period accurate. It still makes a great display piece. And then here you can see that it was actually destroyed down here with like a huge piece missing out of the wood. So you can see that they took a little bit of wood putty there, made a patch, and varnished over it. Again, not period correct, but definitely done the right way with care. And I'm just happy to have this piece still around today. So there's nothing too interesting on the back or the bottom. Taking a look at the top here, you can see it is missing the handle. Again, you can see more evidence of that green paint over here on the hardware. But overall, for $30, you can't really go wrong. And there is actually a seller on eBay who sells reproduction replacement handles for these for like $14, including shipping. So after a quick little purchase with that handle, I think I'll be pretty set for this. And I mean, you could argue that this would make even a good reenacting piece as well. But for my purposes, just going on display, it's perfect. Definitely a museum quality restoration job. So, opening it up here, let's take a look. So, this has the original price tag, and this was documentation that came with it from the original owner, which is funny because it's completely the wrong ammo box. This is an M1917A1 ammo box that they have pictured. But, you know, whatever. I think the original owner paid like over $100 for this box, so for selling it for $30, I mean, okay, I'll take it. And then also you can see down in the bottom here, it's a little difficult to see, the original 3 bullets, or casings, I should say, painted on the bottom inside to show which way the ammunition is supposed to be held in the box. And I guess I'll blow up a picture here and put it on screen, but there's also a little bit of writing underneath as well from the original maker. And I don't think that this was reproduced. I think that that is original. And you can see where the green paint was running down inside. So I think this particular box was originally green on the outside. You can see where it ran down on the inside, but this is the original finish on the inside. They never painted the inside, but they varnished it to protect it from deterioration. And those are the original markings in the bottom, which is really exciting to see. A lot of cases, these boxes are so worn that you can't see that anymore. But this box is definitely a survivor piece. I'm very happy to add this to the collection. And for the price that I got it at, I mean, you just can't go wrong. So very happy to add that. And then our last 2 pieces here are definitely my favorites of them all. So these were bought at 2 different times, 2 different sellers, but just happened to be right around the same time, are 2 propaganda leaflets. So this one here is a U.S. propaganda leaflet, written in German and dropped over German positions at some point during the war. You can see it says, "Wie kann Deutschland noch gerettet werden?" And I can probably throw up a translated picture here if you would like to read it, or you can translate it yourself as well. As you can see there, double-sided. It is missing a rather large chunk out of the edge here. However, I only paid like $20 for this, including shipping. Found it on Facebook Marketplace. And, I mean, I see these in better condition selling for upwards of $100 in some cases, so I'll take this for $20. And even if it is missing the chunk, I mean, for $20, this is a really, really interesting historical piece. It makes a great wall hanger if I choose to frame it at some point, or if I just want to keep it in a binder. And overall, it's just a really interesting part of World War II history, where it was the propaganda war between the Axis and the Allies. So this was a really interesting piece. I was super happy to add this to the collection. And then this one, where it's a similar idea, but it's actually opposite, is this is a North Korean propaganda pamphlet from the Korean War, written in English and dropped over U.S. positions. So a little bit of the opposite here, where it was the bad guy's pamphlet dropped over the U.S. And I bought this from a local seller. Her father served in the Korean War, and she said she still has all of his items. However, she decided she wanted to sell this. I paid $30 for this. I've seen one identical to this sell for $70 online in the past. So for $30, I felt pretty safe paying that. I told her I would love to buy the rest of her collection. However, she said her father is still alive at the moment, and she just doesn't feel comfortable sharing any information about him or selling any other items at the moment. But I was very fortunate that she decided to sell this to me. So, as you can see here, it says somewhere in Korea, far away from home on the front. And essentially what they're trying to do here is they're trying to make the U.S. troops feel like that the rich elite of the United States are sending them to die in their war, and they don't actually need to be there. And it's actually just the capitalist American ruling circles that are waging the war, and the Koreans just want peace. So it was definitely an interesting perspective, an interesting piece of history. And in fact, I found a website that has pictures of every North Korean propaganda pamphlet dropped during the war, and I can put those screenshots up here to give you a little bit more history on this particular pamphlet. But yeah, I was super happy to add these two pamphlets to the collection. I've been wanting to get out into some of these pamphlets a lot recently, but have just not had much luck finding them. They're actually pretty uncommon to find. So to find two in such a close amount of time for really great prices, honestly, I was beyond thrilled to be able to add them to the collection. Alright, so I think that just about does it for this video. I know it's been a little while since I posted, but as we're getting closer to the end of the school year here, you're going to see a lot more content coming from me. I have a lot of plans for this coming future over this summer, so make sure to stay tuned for that. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, and when you're in that area, hit the subscription button and notification bell. Like I said, I have plenty of videos coming in the near future just like this, so stay tuned for that. Alright, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!